again! Welcome to the Great Sunday Morning Adventure! Hooray! Hello. You might have noticed over the last few weeks that we've been learning a lot about how Jesus is the promised Messiah, the King that had been promised throughout the Bible that was going to come and change things and was going to save people. Now, we looked at this very important crown, didn't we? And we remembered who had power and authority. Can you see that? And it wasn't me, was it? It was Jesus the whole way through. He had power and authority that was amazing. Do you remember when he was in the temple? He called the temple his father's house. That's when he got lost with his mum and dad. Do you remember that bit? But he was found again, wasn't he? And he called the temple, the place where people met with God, his father's house, which is amazing. He's calling God his father. Then we saw him unroll the scroll with his friends back in Nazareth, and his family all gathered round, and we learnt again that he had come to fulfill the Bible about what it said about the Messiah. He was going to be the answer to that Messiah. And then we saw how he had amazing power and authority. He really did fulfill all of these things. Do you remember? Here we go. He is God's promised Messiah, and he's all these things on the list. He's marvellous, excellent, spectacular, the Son of God. He's important, he was an awesome man, and he loves us, and all those things spell out Messiah. And we saw how he had authority over an evil spirit and just commanded him to come out. Simon's mother-in-law had a fever. He healed her and she got better and helped make them dinner. And he had authority as he spoke and taught, just like someone who was a soldier or a policeman, or we looked at other people who had authority. We might have a look at those ideas again in a minute. But today we're going to look at a man who had lots of authority. He was this Roman centurion, and he had lots of authority over lots of soldiers. Hope you're ready. Hello, who do you have authority over?
Hi, I'm a mum. I have authority over my children. Hello, I'm a police officer. I have authority to help you keep the law.
Excellent. And who's this?
Good morning, class. I'm your teacher. I have authority over you.
Hello. I've got another postcard this week from my friend Charlie. Shall I read it to you? It's after we sent off the one from last week. Dear Emma, thank you for your postcard. It was interesting to hear about how Jesus had God's power and authority over sin and death. In God's Word, the Bible, you can read of other times when Jesus showed people he was God's only Son. I wonder where you're going for your adventure today. Your friend, Charlie. Let's have a song, shall we? Before the most exciting part of the story, hope you've been practicing My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. We're going to do My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. Okay, are we ready? With action. So you need to stand up for this one. Shake off. Ready? Okay. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. That's true. The mountains are his, the valleys are his, the stars are his handiwork too. My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. That is true.
That is
Well
true.
done. Keep practicing for next week, okay? Hello everyone. How are you doing? You ready for your adventure again? This time we're going back to Capernaum. Jesus was in Capernaum when we saw him last week at the synagogue. And this week he's been away and he's coming back to Capernaum. We're going to see him meet someone very important. I hope you're ready for this. But first of all, grab your backpacks. Off we go. And I'll see you in a minute. Woo-wee! Now I'm here by the lake shore. Can you see the beautiful lake? You have to imagine it in your mind. It's a beautiful lake with glittering water that looks a bit like the sea. And in my basket I've got some exciting things today to show you. Here are lots of different types of things. Can you see what they are? Can you see that? There we are. There's one. Ooh, there's one. It's very multicoloured. And there's one. Look at this beautiful thing. It's all sparkly and lovely. And these are fish, which you would find and could catch in the lake. Lots of people live by the lake and would have earned their living by doing fishing as a job. I thought I'd like to show you how to make one of these fish. This is one of the fish, pretty fish, to remind us that Jesus went to Capernaum. And at Capernaum there was a massive lake and there were lots of fish in the big lake and therefore lots of fishermen. And this, I'm going to show you how to make a really easy, beautiful fish. Ready? You need one paper plate and some big scissors. You need a grown-up to help you with this. So you need to do one big cut like that and then another big cut like that. Almost like a big triangle. Okay? And that gives you a lovely, happy, fishy face and a special tail. And then what you have to do is sellotape your tail onto the back and then decorate it, just like this one, with some pretty coloured paper, sparkly paper. You could use tin foil, make it all shiny and silvery. And don't forget a little eye, a dot for the eye. Or you could colour it in. If you do decide to make one, why don't you get your grown-ups to take a photo of it and then we could have a look at them on WhatsApp and we could all see. We could have a photo of you with your lovely fish. See if you can have a go and ask your mums and dads to help you. Alright, have fun! Now today's story is all about a Roman officer, or what's called a Roman centurion. And he was someone who would lead a lot of soldiers. And I thought you might like to learn a little bit of history and see some pictures. So can you see these guys here? They look very fierce, don't they, going into battle? And this guy here in the middle, he is a Roman centurion. He's the officer. See his amazing fancy headdress there? So they could see who to follow into battle. And these guys here, they're his soldiers. They have to do what they're told. Okay, so that is a little bit of background because the man in the story was a Roman centurion. And I just have to show you my hat. Check this out. Look at this, I've got a proper Roman centurion hat. Look how fancy it is. Isn't that amazing? I really love it. And you could definitely see your leader, couldn't you? But these bits are supposed to come down here to protect me when I'm fighting. Whew. I'm now ready to go and fight the battles. Oh. Very good. Easy to follow. The person who's got a big red bit here. In the picture it had it going the other way. So I'm not quite sure how they did that. But it looks really, really good, doesn't it? You would know where your leader was and you had to follow what the leader said. What would happen, do you think, if the soldiers didn't obey their leader? What if one of them said, nah, just don't really feel like it today, don't feel like going to war, or no, don't want to. Or someone might say, I forgot my teddy bear, I've got to go back and get my teddy bear, sorry. If your leading officer tells you to do something, you have to do it, don't you? And when you're in a very scary situation, like when they were going into battle with these kinds of weapons and looking very scary, then you had to do as you were told. You had to trust your leader and you had to do as you were told if you're a soldier. And if you're a soldier, you'd have authority. So if you were one of the officers, you'd have authority over the others. And so it was very important that they were trustworthy men who could lead their soldiers and their troops into battle. Now this is important because the Roman centurion that we meet today in the story, he, like this guy here in the middle, he was a leader of other people, and he understood what it was like to give a command and people to obey. And he also knew that there was something about Jesus that had authority, and that if Jesus gave the word, he knew, he had faith and trusted that what Jesus said would happen. Should we find out more? Some people at Capernaum weren't fishermen, they were soldiers. And they were soldiers in the Roman army. When Jesus entered Capernaum, some leaders of the Jewish people came to him. Jesus had been born into a Jewish family himself. A Roman army officer had sent these leaders to Jesus because his servant was very sick and about to die, and he had been a good servant. He'd been like family to him, and he didn't want to lose him. So, what do you think they were going to ask Jesus? That's right. They said, "This man was a really good man. I know he's not a Jew," they said to Jesus, "but he helped build our synagogue. He's been really kind to Jewish people. And we were just wondering, would you help him and help heal his servant?" Shall we read what it says in the Bible? It's in Luke chapter 7 this week. If you have a Bible, or your mums and dads have a Bible, you could get them to read it to you. Luke chapter 7. They say the best book to read is the Bible, and I agree. So here we go. Luke chapter 7, verses 4 to 5. In Capernaum there was an army officer. He had a servant who was sick, so sick he was nearly dead. The officer loved the servant very much. When the officer heard about Jesus, he sent some older Jewish leaders to him. The officer wanted the leaders to ask Jesus to come and heal his servant. The men went to Jesus and begged him, saying, "This officer is worthy of your help. He loves our people and he built us a synagogue." So what do you think Jesus did? That's right. So Jesus went with the men. He was getting near the officer's house when the officer sent friends to say, "Lord, you don't need to come into my house. I'm not good enough for you to be under my roof. That is why I did not come to you myself. You only need to say the word and my servant will be healed." Wow, what an amazing faith this man has. He knows that Jesus can just say the word and that will be enough authority and enough power for this king walking the planet to be able to heal his servant. And then he goes on to explain something. He says, "I too am a man under authority of other men, and I have soldiers under my command. I'm in charge of them. I tell one soldier, 'Go,' and he goes. And I tell another soldier, 'Come,' and he comes. And I say to my servant, 'Do this,' and my servant obeys me." Now, when Jesus heard this, he was amazed. He turned to the crowd following him and said, "I tell you, this is the greatest faith I have seen anywhere, even in Israel, which is amongst the Jews." The men who had been sent to Jesus went back to the house, and there they found that the servant was healed. Amazing! The officer had the authority to tell soldiers what to do. The officer knew that Jesus had the power to make the servant's illness obey him and go away when he told it to. The officer trusted Jesus. He knew that no one else had authority over sickness like this man. And the officer, the soldier, the Roman centurion, he'd put his faith in Jesus, put his trust in Jesus, hadn't he? He believed, or had faith, that Jesus had God's power and authority. That's what we keep seeing again and again, isn't it? All the way through this book of Luke. Was Jesus able to heal the servant? Yes! Could Jesus be trusted? Yes! When the friends went back to the officer's house, they found the servant well. Jesus had proved that he could be trusted. Jesus had shown that he had power and authority over sickness and death. It didn't matter that the Roman officer was not a Jew. The important thing was that he had put his trust in God's promised Messiah, Jesus. What an exciting adventure. We thought it'd be fun to ask different people who have become Christians in their lives whether they have a favourite verse from the Bible. Colin Buchanan sings a brilliant song called "The best book to read is the Bible. The best book to read is the Bible. If you read it every day, it will help you on your way. Oh, the best book to read is the Bible." And so here today we have Becca Pluke. You might remember her, you've seen her at church before. Now look at this lovely delicious fruit bowl. Can you see it? Full to overflowing with delicious, healthy, delicious, sweet fruit, juicy fruit. My children don't always appreciate the goodness of fruit. I'm sure you're much better than them. But you can look at this bowl of fruit, can't you? And you can think, oh, that looks nice. But unless you taste it, you're not going to really know, are you? So here I've got a delicious looking pear, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this looks really, really juicy and really, really good. I just remembered I might need one of these. But unless I actually bite in and taste it, I'm not going to know, am I? Right, you ready? I'm going to have a go. Mmm. 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 So juicy and delicious. Now, I had an idea. The idea was, why don't we ask different people what their favourite Bible verse is? And today, Becca Pluke has shared with us her favourite Bible verse. And her favourite Bible verse is "Taste and see that the Lord is good." Ready? Hi Becca. Have you got a favourite verse from the Bible?
I have actually. It's from Psalm 34. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good.
And why do you like that? What do you have to do? Taste God?
Well, in my experience, until you've experienced the Lord, you won't know. And once you have, you'll never go back.
Brilliant. Mmm. This is just so good. Sorry, talking with my mouth full.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Figs.
Figs who?
Figs the doorbell, because it's broken.
How do you get in touch with a fish?
I don't know.
Drop it a line.
Ah!
Hi kids! Today I'm a Star Wars warrior, but as there's no crime going on, I'm going to read you a postcard. Dear Darth Vader, today we heard that the Roman officer put his trust in Jesus. He believed that Jesus had authority over death and sickness. We learned that all who put their faith in Jesus and his victory over sin and death on the cross, we will live forever as God's friends. Love from Katie. I mean Princess Leia. Bye!
Just like the Roman army officer that we've learnt about today, Jesus really wants us to trust him as well. He wants us to trust him and have faith in him so that we can live as part of God's family forever. No matter how hard we try, we don't always live God's way, do we? We've all sinned, done things wrong, done things our way, in the way that we think, the things that we say, and the things that we do. We need to tell God that we're sorry for our sin, determined not to do it again, genuinely really deep down sorry. And we need to tell God, we need to trust Jesus and his death on the cross to pay for our sin. We don't have to pay for it, but Jesus paid for it for us on the cross, didn't he? When we put our trust in Jesus, God forgives our sin and we can live as his friends forever. This is such good news, isn't it? So who can live as a friend of God? Do you remember we saw today that the Roman army officer, he wasn't one of the Jewish people, was he? Which means that anyone can come, anyone at all. Anyone can come and put their trust in Jesus and know that Jesus died in their place to take away all the wrong things that they'd done, and so that we can be right and a friend of God again. Can we trust anyone else to make us friends with God? No way. No one but Jesus can make us friends with God again. Now, let's do our final prayer. Are you ready? Arms out wide. I keep missing. Arms out wide. That's right. Snap them shut. You ready to pray? Let's pray. Dear God, thank you that Jesus is your promised King, the Messiah. Thank you for the faith that the Roman officers showed in Jesus. Help us to put our trust in Jesus so that we can live as your friends forever. Thank you that you welcome everyone and anyone who wants to trust in Jesus to be God's friend. Amen. It's been lovely hanging out with you again. Should we do some more songs before we finish? Yeah? You up for it? Okay, let's go! Jesus, number one, right at the top where he belongs. Who he is and what he's done make Jesus number one. He's the Son of God, Jesus number one, yeah. He rose up from the dead, Jesus number one, yeah. He'll rule eternally, Jesus number one, yeah. He has supremacy, Jesus number one. Come on now. Jesus is number one, right at the top where he belongs. Who he is and what he's done make Jesus number one. He's the Son of God, Jesus number one, yeah. He rose up from the dead, Jesus number one, yeah. He'll rule eternally, Jesus number one, yeah. He has supremacy, Jesus number one.
Oh no!
Well, it's time to say goodbye. Hope you've enjoyed it this week and I hope you've had a great adventure. Look forward to seeing you next week and see if you can remember to have a go at making one of your fish or a picture of a fish, or maybe you've got some fish toys that you could just show and get your mums and dads to take a photo and put it on the WhatsApp. Cheers everybody up in the church to see all your faces, and then we can see one another as well, and you children can see each other's faces. That'd be so nice. And see if you are able to send a postcard as well, and let us know if you've had any postcards back or any responses. That would be fun to know. See you next week for another adventure. Bye!